Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and today we're going to be talking with women from Empowered Women International, which is a program that helps women to start their own business. And a lot of these women are new to this country who are artisans and artists, and Empowered Women International basically help to make them successful as they launch their businesses in this country. Joining me in this segment is Sarah Bodley. She is with Empowered Women International, and Zineb, who is an artist and the founder of ZenaArt. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much.
So I met you only recently and was so surprised I had not heard of you before because you've actually been around since 2002. Give me a little background history of how you started, how you launched, and where you are now.
Absolutely. So yeah, EWI, Empowered Women International, does exactly that. We were founded about 16 years ago now by a woman who is herself an immigrant. Her name's Marga Fripp, and she came here from Romania due to circumstances out of her control. And when she got here, really found she was completely having to start over. She had an amazing career back home in Romania that just didn't translate when she got here. She didn't speak English, and she very quickly realized that there was an enormous need for more support for women like her. She, at some ESL classes, I believe, she met a group of women who were kind of dealing with the same issues, and very naturally EWI began to emerge. And over the years, it sort of evolved into what it is today, which is an entrepreneurship training program. We primarily work with low-income women facing different economic and social challenges. As you mentioned, a majority of them are immigrants or refugees. And actually, as of just last fall, we've gone through a merger. So we're now part of the Latino Economic Development Center, LEDC, which is very exciting for us. They've been a longtime partner of ours. So on both sides of the coin there, we've been able to really strengthen the programming that we've already offered.
So in addition to training, this really is about managing your finances if you're trying to make a living from selling the thing that you produce. So that might be personal finance. We talked a little bit about the fact that, you know, I sit on the board of Bright Paths, and that's something we do, is individual financial mentoring. But you're really helping people to understand the flow of business income and expenses.
Absolutely.
So that's a very different thing.
It is, yeah. So, well, and I will say, I mean, most of our businesses, because they're starting small, a lot of them are home-based. So in many cases, there's some overlap between personal and business management of the finances. And one of the big barriers, I think, especially with the immigrant community, is just a general lack of understanding or awareness of what the financial system is like here in the United States. And so learning about credit scores and why that matters, and how that's going to impact your ability to get a loan for your business down the line. All of these things are really literally foreign concepts to a lot of the women that we work with. So we put a high priority on that kind of education. We do work with lots of partners. Bright Paths is one of our great ones down in South County, Alexandria, LEDC, a few other micro-lending organizations as well. And in each of our courses, that's also a really heavy focus. About half of the class time is spent just on understanding all of the ins and outs of managing financial things.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of these businesses are probably started as side businesses, I would imagine, because they are very small. So somebody who makes something, or a painter like Zineb, who's doing something, they might be doing that on the side, and what they really need is to figure out how to market their product. So I know that Etsy is a platform that a lot of very small businesses use. Is that sort of one of the tools that you offered as far as introducing platforms?
It's a good question. So to a degree, I mean, we talk about all of the different options for market access. I will say, I think one of the things that really sets us apart is the emphasis on empowerment. At the heart of everything that we do is really just, we spend a lot of time helping women to understand why what they do is important. We have a mentorship component that really helps them to kind of come out of their shells and be able to articulate what's so special about their skills and their abilities and themselves. So, there's also, of course, a lot of the technical stuff that goes into building a business plan, and we go through every step of the pathway there. So we try to give them sort of a broad scope of what the opportunities might be, and Etsy is certainly one of them. We have sort of unique partnerships with other online platforms as well, and we offer marketplace events ourselves a few times a year too. So your artisans and artisans have a way of bringing their products forward. Exactly.
So I know, Zineb, that you are from Morocco originally.
Yes.
And so when you came here, you were explaining that you had to learn English.
Yes, it was a big step for me. So I came in United States in 2010, and I was a pregnant woman. I was here by myself, so I don't have time to learn English at this time. So I was just thinking about how to survive in United States. Then I start my abstract art in 2011. It was like way to express my feeling and my almost depression. So after that, it was everything I do, everything my art on Canva, but I don't know how to market for that, just at home. Then I was like, by coincidentally, I was in an Islamic center, Dar al-Hijra, and one of the worker of the EWI, she was here, and she was there. I was lucky this day, and I show her and I talk with her about my business, about the art, and I show her some of my canvas, and she said okay, and I was lucky to be one of the students. 2017. Now I manage my business more with confidence. I build my market, and I have exhibition before at Maryland, before with EWI, then I have next step exhibition at George Washington University in March 8th, and I'm a member of Falls Church Art Gallery. I do exhibition there too. So I go, and my dream go through to reality.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you're based in Falls Church, since you're part of their art community there in Falls Church. But clearly, having an organization behind you has been able to open doors and give you visibility as well as skills, which is really important, especially for an artist, because artists really do have a harder time finding their public. You know, there are plenty of people who appreciate fine art, but you have to find out who they are, because the whole idea of this, you paint for your personal expression, but you sell them to live. Yeah. I mean, that's really is.
The thing I love at EWI, they follow us. They contact. Like I was a graduate in March 2017, and they are now behind us in 2018. So with any market, they sent us email. They call us to follow us, and told us there is a marketplace here, marketplace there. You have to do that. You have. That's why I like it, and I was so lucky and to be one of the students, and it's a big opportunity was for me. It's like the door was open one day, and
you walked through it, and you know that's interesting. Metaphor. You know, you open a door and some people walk through and some people don't. So you are choosing to create doorways for these women, and being at an Islamic center is one place to do that. Where are some of the other places where you introduce EWI to women who've never heard of you?
Well, we've had great partnerships with, for example, Together We Bake in Alexandria, different, reentry programs, things like that. And Bright Paths. So we're starting to launch a program through Bright Paths, the Financial Empowerment Center down there. We are, I think I mentioned the Connections for Hope partnership earlier in Herndon. So, through any number, I mean, our list of partners is probably 100 long at this point, but it's wonderful because essentially anytime, the phone rings and there's some, a challenge that we can't personally address, we have this excellent list of supporters. And that's something I think that's really wonderful in the DC area in general. There is so much collaboration, and, we're all on the same team in essence.
Absolutely. And of course, I heard from you at my Rotary Club meeting. So Rotary, we meet every week, so do Lions clubs, and there's a lot of
commerce,
garden clubs, women clubs. There are a lot of organizations that look for good speakers. And you're an excellent speaker. I will attest to that. Sarah's an excellent speaker. And so this is another way of getting the message out. So you're extending your influence through the networks of other people.
Absolutely. Well, and that's also, I think, one thing I love about our alumni network is every one of you is an ambassador for EWI. That's a majority of our clients come to us because they heard about us from somebody that they know, a personal connection, whether it's a student or, one of our partners. But it's the power of a network is pretty incredible.
And what I think is so great too is that you are multilingual. Unlike most Americans who are known for being monolingual, like we know a language, but it's only ours. So I'm assuming too that being a native speaker of 2 other languages makes you an excellent speaker for communities where your first language is their first language.
Yeah. So I speak Arabic, French, and now I'm good. I'm good in English.
You're good in English.
Thank you. So yes. So when you go out and you meet some women, because there is a lot of immigrant women. They have a lot of business, and they do business at home, like cooking or
needlework, painting,
jewelry. But they don't know how.
Yeah,
they don't know how to start or how to go out. And it was the same for me. I don't know how to market myself, how to do budget, what price I can give to my canvas. Then after that, when I was student, the first step the first step they teach us is to be confident, because when you don't have language, you can't go out, you can't talk, you can't speak. So they follow us, they believe in us, and they told us you have to go out. This is what you need. They give us, and that's 3 months or 4 months what we need, and they give us big opportunity to start as immigrant women. So we have a background from our countries. Like I was associate direction on TV, and I have background, like I have 2 diploma in my country. But one day I changed my mind. That's it. I changed my mind to come in United States and start a new life for me and for my kids. So the EWI, they push us. They believe in us. It's wherever you come from, which language you talk, wherever you're Muslim or wherever you are from, they give us this push and
confidence.
Confidence.
Confidence is the major thing, and that is true, especially for women. Especially for women, because it's one of the things that we seem to not have developed as fully as men who just march on through regardless of, it's like, yes, I'm here. But women do, I think, struggle with issues of confidence. And so I think knowing that you have now found yours and you've launched your business, and we'll be able to find you at upcoming events that EWI is sponsoring, is really important. So I just want to thank you very much, Zineb, for being on this segment of Your Need to Know. And we will see you in March. We are going to enumerate all of those events, and so please join us after this break. We'll talk to another artist.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs, or to make a tax-free donation,
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm Catherine Reed, your host, and today we're talking with women from Empowered Women International. Sarah Bodley, who is with EWI, and one of their mentees, one of their business owners, Maribel Rodriguez, who is the owner of Marble Arch Gardens. So thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
So when we went to our break, we were talking a little bit about the mentorship component of how you work with these women entrepreneurs. Can you give us some fuller idea of exactly how that looks?
Absolutely. So yeah, we work with hundreds of volunteers every year, and some of the most important volunteers are the mentors that come into every class. So this is in one of our 2 core training programs. It's called Entrepreneur Training for Success. Maribel went through this program, as did Zineb, who was here earlier. And each of our students in the class is paired up with a mentor who, it's always a woman, and generally it's a person who has some experience in business. Ideally, she's an entrepreneur herself, but not necessarily. It can be other kinds of business support. And I mean, if you've ever had a mentor, and I think,
Yes,
you know, so many of us, you just, it's such an incredible support system to just have somebody who's on your side and who isn't necessarily going to tell you what you want to hear all the time, but is going to help you work through whatever challenges come up. In our classes, I think this makes it just so much of a deeper experience for the clients, because, you know, they have a trainer there, they have guest speakers coming in too who are talking about whatever topic is that week, but to have that mentor, they can call them, they can email them, you know, if they're struggling with some part of their business plan. It's just somebody who's really there completely on your side from day one. And oftentimes we see that those relationships go well beyond the program. We have mentors who have been with us for practically 15 years now, and you know, the mentors keep coming back. The relationships really just continue to grow.
Well, there's something in it for the mentors too. For people who've been doing this over and over, the feeling of success when you help someone to launch their business successfully, I'm assuming keeps your volunteers coming back, because they know that a little bit of help helps to launch people. And really it is knowing that someone's there. In other words, having a coach means that you know they're there if you need them, but they also give you confidence that you really can do this on your own. Like, you can do it. And so where do your volunteers come from?
All over. So it's another reason that the network is so important. We do a lot of events, you know, just to get out there among the corporate community, especially because, again, we're looking for business experts. So we have great relationships with Capital One in particular is one of our big funders, and they've consistently been sending bankers over the years to do financial coaching with our clients. You know, we have lots of those types of partnerships, as well as, you know, organizations like Bright Paths, again, who we were talking about earlier. And then just individuals. You know, there's a thriving volunteer community in DC
really
at
is.
large, and so, you know, we do the usual, you know, volunteer match and all the different platforms to get the word out. And oftentimes we get people who are just inquiring because they've Googled women's programming. They just know that they want to do something to support women. I think especially lately, there's been a lot going on.
Yes, since the Women's March especially,
Yep.
the future is female, ladies. Just in case you didn't get that word, the future is female. So Maribel, tell me a little bit about how you started Marble Arch Gardens and what inspired you to do it, and a little bit about how you've developed your products and who your customers are.
The inspiration came from my grandmother. Since I was very little, she was you could call her a holistic individual. So she would create natural products, and she would cultivate herbs, harvest herbs, and she would take me with her since she was very, you know, engaged in it. And little by little, I learned. And then I emigrated to the States and sort of went about my life, but always kept a little bit of knowledge from my grandmother. And I had a successful career. I raised kids, but always kept the herbal knowledge at the forefront. And I was in the military. I served for about 28 years, and then once I retired, I took a master's in nutrition and integrative health with a master's certificate in herbal studies. So that sort of gave me the not only I had the practical knowledge from my grandma, but I didn't have that piece of paper.
Yes, you had the academic credibility to say that you know.
Exactly. So that's sort of really perfection, because a lot of what I learned really it goes back to the same, the same herbs that are used in Europe, where I travel a lot, or Asia, are the same. Some of them are the same like my grandma, and they are used for the same thing. They may be called differently. So that was my biggest motivator. So as I again retired, and while I was going to school, throughout my life, people came to me because they knew. So they will ask me for, I need this this cream, or I need something for my digestive system, or, you know, so I used to do that for family and friends. And I said, well, let me just go ahead and little by little then started the company. And I did an internship with an organization called Eco City Farms, who also had links to Crossroads Community Center. And that's how Crossroads sort of, you know, they also sort of mentor you, but they nudged me to say, hey, you need to attend this briefing of EWI. And it was like wonderful, because although I had a lot of the technical and the art knowledge of doing herbs, but my knowledge about business, very little.
Right.
You know, so they sort of rerouted me and focused and gave me a center of integration as to what the process is, from how do you set up, you know, the type of business that you want to set up. The mentor was critical, from telling you, you know, you really got to do your website. You've got to look at the financials in this way. You got to attend this meeting. I mean, all of the little details that, like little grains of salt that together sort of made it into a sea of, you know, a tremendous network capability, which is what I've really, really been very fortunate to participate in EWI.
So I'm assuming that you're learning things like packaging, like you knew how to make the things, but now all of a sudden you have to package, you have to label, you have to print, you have to ship, and then scaling all of that. So once you've got customers who want your products, like, yes, I want more and more and more, and now you've got to figure out how to scale all that. So does your mentor stay with you through that process?
That's the hardest thing. My mentor, and I have one that's always, you know, she says, you're ready, you got to get this, you know, we can, she kind of have the vision. So I'm doing all the packaging myself. And it's because it was easy, because I don't do produce in mass. I do small quantities, and that I sell at the you know,
the markets,
expos, markets, and conferences, or if I'm a speaker somewhere, I always bring my products. Because I custom make them, it's easier for me to just make the one label with the ingredients. And the other thing is that when you buy labels, you also have to buy by the 1,000 or 5,000 if you want to be economically feasible. So because mine don't have any artificial ingredients, preservatives, binders, colorants, none of that, small batches, so I found myself doing that. I can see now where I'm at the point where I need to sort of find a way to upscale this process, and I'm looking into it, but it requires a lot of funding. So that's where I am right now. I'm ready to maybe go bigger, to be able to have it in stores, and that's sort of my next step. And also selecting, you know, what are the best sellers, the question that you ask, because you want to be able to help people. So somebody asks me for, you know, whether it's weight loss, whether it's a headache, stress, and I prepare something, but I really need to do an assessment. And again, that's where EWI, you know, the next program of EWI, how do you then that you now have the business, but how do you elevate it to the level where it has the credibility and the functionality at every level to ensure that you really can get your products out in a shelf somewhere. So yeah, so that's my next step.
So tell me a little bit about different levels. So you've got people constantly coming into the programs who are beginners, and then you've got people who've been in the program and they've got some success, but now they've got to make this critical decision about how and when you scale.
Yeah, so actually that's one of our sort of core values, is just the ability to meet a woman wherever she is on her journey. So we have different programs that can adapt to that. The first level is the Entrepreneur Training for Success, which I mentioned earlier. That's just taking an idea and building out a business plan. But for Maribel, we've been talking about when she's ready to come in to a course called Grow My Business. very self-explanatory name, but it literally is much more strategically focused and thinking about, how do you hire your first employees or get a micro loan for the first time in order to invest something a little bit more deep, so those are our two core programs. And then in addition to that, all of the workshops that we offer, that now, again, through our Latino Economic Development Center merger, there's a whole host of other services that we can provide more directly. We just refer our clients right over there, and they can get one-on-one technical coaching. So if you need to register in a certain state, they'll be able to help you do that and sit down and fill out the paperwork with you.
So give me an idea of what's coming up in March, which is the International Women's Day. What events can people look for in March?
Great, yeah, so this is a big month for us. We have two really exciting things coming up. The first is going to be on March 7th, which is the eve of International Women's Day. We'll be doing a panel discussion. It's called Pathways to Her Business, and we have a great panel of female founders who have become super successful now. They're all part of our network in different ways. It's moderated by another amazing founder named Whitney Parnell, who's an excellent volunteer and just has been in our world for quite a while. That'll be on March 7th at 6 o'clock in the evening at the WeWork in Crystal City, and it's free, open to the public, really just a chance to kind of share learning and experiences among women entrepreneurs. It is open to men as well.
Great.
And then the following day, on March 8th, we're doing a marketplace in partnership with George Washington University, has a student group, the Women in Business group, and they've been one of our philanthropic partners for a few years now, raising money for EWI. It's a wonderful group, and they're organizing an on-campus marketplace from 12 to 6 on the 8th. Maribel and Zineb will both be there, as well as a few other entrepreneurs with selling their goods and products on site.
That's fantastic. And so people can go to your website too, just for an ongoing list of events and marketplaces, correct?
Yes, absolutely. As well as ways to get involved. So if you're interested, if you have a business idea and you want to learn more about that, if you'd like to get involved as a volunteer or donor, anything at all, just visit our website.
And also if you want speakers. So whether you're a speaker or Maribel or Zineb is a speaker, that is also something else you provide.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you ladies very much. I very much appreciate you being here to describe what Empowered Women International actually does. And get involved either as a mentor, as a donor, or as someone who can offer a marketplace opportunity. Festivals, any place. You know that EWI is what you need to know to support these women.